Since you threw me into hell, I'll drag this hell up to the heavens. After the last bite of meat, my whole body started heating up. Two completely different massive forces were crashing wildly through my body until they were forcefully suppressed by the overbearing candle dragon bloodline. They were refined into a fuel called destruction. My body temperature was way too high. Without some kind of outside cooling, I figured I'd boil myself alive before I ever got stronger. I needed water, so I sprinted toward the most humid part of the dungeon. After running for half an hour, the smell of sulfur in the air gradually faded, replaced by a bone-chilling cold. Up ahead was a massive underground pool of fire-cold, stagnant water. This was the boundary between the 4th and 5th floors of the dungeon, and also an extremely dangerous forbidden zone. The water here stayed below freezing all year round, yet never turned to ice, and it was packed with countless vicious, cold-blooded creatures. But for me right now, this place was heaven. Without a second thought, I dove straight into the bottomless, icy pool. The water within dozens of feet around me started boiling instantly, and I let out a roar of pure relief underwater. After that, the turmoil inside me finally settled down, and I began absorbing those two massive forces in an orderly way. The deeper I went, the colder the water got, and the greater the pressure became. I could feel my bones turning deadlier under the crushing force of the water. But in the dungeon, nothing comes free. Just as I was closing my eyes and enjoying this rare moment to cool off deep at the bottom of the lake, several eerie blue lights quietly flickered on. Those were eyes. Cold pool bone serpents. Peak 3rd rank water-type beasts, living in packs. Their bodies were made of transparent cartilage, with only their spines made of stark white bone, and they were experts at releasing deadly poison underwater. Their ice spikes made them the absolute rulers of these waters. They had caught the scent of heat, and soon, silent ripples spread through the water. 7 cold pool bone serpents, each over 10 meters long, silently closed in on me from every direction. They were smart, so they did not charge right in. Instead, they opened their jaws first, and spat out streams of venom. The poison spread fast through the water, instantly turning the water around me into a toxic death zone. I snapped my eyes open. "You're messing with my bath? You've got a death wish." I did not dodge the venom. Instead, the black and red scales all over my body suddenly flared open, and the magma-like patterns beneath them lit up at once. Blazing sun talent skill, surface heat, boiling domain. With me at the center, the water temperature within a 10-meter radius shot from freezing to several hundred degrees in a single second. That deadly venom did not even get the chance to touch my skin before it was broken down and vaporized by the heat, turning into harmless waste gas. And those 7 cold pool bone serpents that tried to ambush me were hit with total disaster in an instant. For creatures used to extreme cold like them, this sudden heat was basically hell. Their piercing screams turned into strings of murky bubbles underwater. Their soft cartilage skin rotted fast in the heat. I wasn't as agile in the water as I was on land, but I had a tail. That thick tail, fused with the earth dragon's power, thrashed wildly. It dragged me through the water like a red blur. I bit down on one bone snake's weak spot, then blasted scorching dragon breath straight into its body. In an instant, that bone snake turned into grilled snake. The other 6 bone snakes freaked out. They'd never seen a monster that could breathe fire underwater, and they tried to run. But there was no way I was letting this free batch of ice-cold snacks get away. I needed a ton of water element cores to balance out the fire poison in my body. The slaughter bloomed in the deep water. This was a total one-sided massacre. 5 minutes later, the mist over the lake slowly cleared. I burst out of the water with the last bone snake's corpse in my mouth and swallowed it in a few bites like it was beef jerky. At that moment, my appearance changed again, just a little. After being tempered by extreme cold and extreme heat, the scales on my body were no longer that rough, black-red color. Instead, they became smoother and tighter, with a muted obsidian-like texture. Only when I exerted force, dark red magma-like light would flow through the gaps between the scales. Most importantly, the bone spike blades on my back, faint light blue patterns had started to appear on my body. Those were the traits I gained after devouring a huge amount of cold pool bone ore. Underwater breathing and temperature regulation. From that moment on, neither water nor fire could harm me. I let out a full belch. Once I finished digesting all this energy, I might even touch the threshold of 5th rank. But I didn't feel relaxed at all, because the instant I stepped onto the shore, my sharpened senses picked up an extremely out-of-place presence. It wasn't the foul stench of magical beasts. It was a mix of grease, metal, sweat, and some kind of cheap perfume. As someone who used to be human, I knew that smell far too well. It was the smell of humans. I lowered my head and looked at the mud by the shore. Among the chaotic beast tracks, there were several footprints with clearly visible soul patterns. Adventurers. My eyes turned cold in an instant. This was the deep lair of the dungeon. Ordinary humans could never make it this far. Anyone who appeared here had to be a fully armed elite squad. What were they doing here? I thought of the demon ape corpse I had tossed aside, the one I'd left half-eaten a few miles away. Damn. I'm not afraid of magical beasts. They're straightforward. Whoever has the bigger fist makes the rules. But humans? Humans are what scare me. Their cunning, their traps, their magic scrolls, and the endless forces backing them. Those are the most terrifying things in this world. I looked up and followed the direction of the footprints. They led toward the earth dragon's nest, the very place I had just left. Now that you're here, you're not leaving. In this dungeon, there can only be one hunter. At the same time, on the other side, the adventurer Jack held up a magical glow stick, his face pale as he stared at the scene in front of him. He was a veteran silver rank thief, someone who had run countless dungeons and seen all kinds of disgusting sights. But even this scene made his stomach churn. In the clearing before them lay a massive skeleton. It was the skeleton of an earth-splitting demon ape, but the skeleton was too clean. Not a single scrap of flesh was left on it. Jack swallowed hard, his voice trembling as he said, "Captain, judging from the traces at the scene, this peak 4th-tier earth-splitting demon ape was tortured to death, and it looks like the killer ate it, not even leaving the bones alone." Standing behind Jack was a tall man in gleaming golden armor. He was the captain of the squad, Raymond, a gold-rank berserker. Raymond frowned and reached down to touch the scorched black marks on the ground. There are signs of extreme heat too. Could it have been a 5th-tier lava beast? Doesn't look like it. A mage wrapped in a black robe stepped forward. He held a crystal ball in his hand, and it was flashing with a blinding red glow. The residual fire element here is extremely violent, and it carries an ancient, noble kind of pressure. The mage raised his head, his eyes gleaming with greed. "Captain, my dragon compass is shaking. There's a dragon nearby." The moment they heard that word, all 5 people there started breathing faster. In this world, what does a dragon mean? It means endless wealth. Dragon scales can be made into the finest shields. Dragon blood can completely transform a person, and dragon essence is priceless. Even a drake would be enough to set them up for life. At that moment, Raymond said grimly, "If it's a 5th-tier adult dragon, we need to run now." But looking at the scene, the killer may be brutal, but it's not that big. The footprints are only around 10 feet long. The mage's voice turned sharp. It's either a runaway or an injured young dragon, and a high-level fire dragon at that. "We're gonna be rich." Greed instantly crushed their fear. Raymond pulled the great sword off his back, his eyes full of killing intent. "Jack, track the footprints. It just ate, so it can't have gone far. Get the dragon net and the anesthetic poison ready. Remember, try to catch it alive. A live one's worth 10 times more than a dead one." Jack answered excitedly, and crouched down to carefully study the tracks on the ground. But none of them noticed the shadow on the rock wall 50 meters above their heads. I was watching all of it, like a giant lizard. I hung upside down behind the stalactites. With my light refraction ability changing my body color, I blended perfectly into the darkness. A cruel smile curled across my lips. "Since you want to play a hunting game, then let me show you who the real hunter is, and who the prey really is." I didn't charge in right away. The other side had 1 gold tier fighter, basically equal to early 4th rank, and 2 silver tier ones, about early 3rd rank. On top of that, they had a mage and a priest. If I fought them head on, even if I won, I'd still get hurt. I slowly opened my mouth and breathed out a colorless, odorless mist. This was a new ability I got after eating so many frostbone fish in the cold pool. Frost poison mist. It wouldn't kill right away, but it could numb the nerves and slow a person's reactions. The mist drifted slowly down along the rock wall, silently covering the area below. Why did it suddenly get foggy? The archer, sharp as ever, noticed his vision getting blurry. He wrinkled his nose and sniffed. "No smell." Raymond let out a low shout. "Probably just a natural dungeon phenomenon. Stay focused, keep your guard up." Right then, a drop of thick liquid landed on the neck of the priest walking at the very back. The priest instinctively reached up and touched it. Then he looked up in shock. What met his eyes was a cold face hanging upside down above him. The next second, a thick tail instantly wrapped around the priest's neck. He didn't even get a chance to scream. His whole body was yanked up into the air and vanished into the darkness hidden by the dense fog. "Who's there?" Jack, up front, heard the noise and whipped his head around, but there was nothing behind him. "Where's the priest?" "Enemy attack! Defensive formation!" Raymond roared, and the battle aura around him flared up, trying to drive away the fog. But the mist only grew thicker, and from deep inside it, there came a faint, bone-chilling chewing sound. It was the sound of bones being crushed. "Damn it, get out here!" The mage wildly swung his staff, launching fireballs blindly in every direction. The fireballs exploded, but they didn't hit a single shadow on the rocks. Suddenly, the archer on the left let out a horrifying scream. Everyone turned in terror. A huge bloody hole had appeared in the archer's chest out of nowhere, and he hadn't even seen where the enemy was. "Invisible. It can turn invisible!" The mage broke down. "That's no baby dragon. It's a devil. Back to back, don't spread out." Cold sweat ran down Raymond's face. He realized he had made a fatal mistake. This wasn't hunting a baby dragon. They had walked straight into hell. In the mist, my figure flickered in and out. I swallowed the priest's and the archer's hearts, feeling that slight growth of magic inside me. Human flesh didn't carry as much energy as magical beasts, but the mage's and berserker's souls seemed delicious, especially that mage holding the crystal ball. I moved soundlessly behind the mage. By then, Mage Allen's voice had turned shrill and off-key. Damn it, where is it? The crystal ball in his hand glowed red like it was about to bleed, but all that meant was the monster was somewhere nearby.